the streets of Chicago to the headlines of the world, you are now tuned into the rhythm of real thought. This is the Daily Mix. 15 minutes of uncut perspective starts right now.
All right, y'all. Welcome to the Daily Mix. I'm your host, Omari Jahi. You know, for the past 5 weeks, no matter what you had going on in your own life, there's been a heavy cloud hanging over all of us. You couldn't turn on your TV, your cable channels, your screens, your cell phone without feeling the massive ripple of effect of what's been happening overseas. We've all been watching the intense escalation of Operation Epic Fury. Now, you know, I kind of get into these words. You know, these operations have these operations, Desert Storm, and all of this stuff. What does this operation say about its title? Epic. What does the term epic mean? Let me ask my Alexa. Alexa, define epic for me.
From AustinTexas.org. Epic Fun is a multi-attraction entertainment center for all ages under one roof.
No, Alexa, define the term epic.
As an adjective, epic is usually defined as noting or pertaining to a long poetic composition, usually centered upon a hero, in which a series of great achievements or events is narrated in elevated style. As an adverb, epic is usually defined as very, extremely. As a noun, epic is usually defined as an epic poem. For more, ask me to give you more definitions for epic.
So this is Operation Extreme. And what is, Alexa, define the term fury, F-U-R-Y. So we extreme so far.
From Wikipedia.org. Operator theory is the branch of functional analysis which deals with bounded linear operators and their properties.
No, come on. Alexa, define the term fury, F-U-R-Y. Jesus.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
You know, forget them. Fury, anger, being extremely angry. That's what Operation Epic Fury means. They're extremely angry about something. So what are they angry about? What is Israel and the United States angry with Iran about? We're going to break this down. Okay, all factors into the current conflict alongside the official, motivations, which is security, not oil. This is the official motivation for this war or this onslaught or this attack. It's about security. According to the U.S. Department of War, the White House, and Israel leadership, the anger and military actions directed at Iran stem from deep security concerns, not resource acquisitions. So they're not trying to acquire or have control over their oil. No, that's not what they are about. That's not what they're doing. Even though the Pentagon, frames the war around security, geographical analysts and recent statements from leadership show that oil is tied to the anger on both sides. Now, while military officials keep the focus on nuclear and missile threats, our president, your president, Trump, recently injected oil directly into the war's public discourse. Just days ago, on April the 3rd, he posted, I should say, on Truth Socials that with a little more time, the U.S. could easily open the Hormuz Strait, take the oil, and make a fortune. Statements like this blur the lines, y'all, between national security objectives and resource control, fueling arguments that oil remains a central pillar of this conflict. Now, I don't know about you all, but we have our media, right? We have our newspaper publications and things like that, whether it's online, printed, whatever. Their job is to report news, right? So they have investigators, they have reporters. They're supposed to, when somebody says something, or if Trump or the government says we're implementing sanctions on this country and this is our reasoning for doing this and that and another, they're supposed to investigate and go behind the scenes and see if what they're saying is actual. And then they're supposed to come back and report to the American people what their investigation entails. Now, wow, do they do that? Do they actually go out and investigate and come back and share with the public what they discovered? Now, I did some investigating on my own, and I did some research, and I discovered that there's a pattern with their attacks on these different countries. Now, if I can discover these patterns, then why can't our professional media and newspaper outlets and magazines and all of these so-called journalists find what I found? Look, this intervention of foreign policy, military intervention, and oil is one of the most heavily debated topics in modern history. When looking at nations that possess massive petroleum reserves, there's a clear historical pattern. These countries frequently find themselves in the crosshairs of the U.S. military actions, heavily economic sanctions, or intense media and political campaigns. See, they either use a heavy media campaign, bashing them, talking negatively about them, or they sanction them in some way, or they physically attack them, these countries that have these large supplies of oil. And for some reason, they don't report these things. But the official justification for these conflicts usually center on national security. You know, remember, weapons of mass destruction, human rights, or fighting terrorism. Geopolitical analysts and critics frequently point to resource control as a primary unspoken driver. Here are the most potent examples of countries with large oil repositories that have been targeted, physically targeted, or through intense media and economic pressure have been attacked. We already know Iraq is number one on the list. Historically, Iraq held some large proven oil reserves, or they have the largest, I should say, proven oil reserves in the world. They currently rank 5th globally. Now, the U.S. led a massive invasion on Iraq in 2003. Israel also explicitly targeted Iraq before this, almost notably bombing the Asyric nuclear reactor in 1981. So this country has been under attack many times, and as always, again, it's been about weapons of mass destruction, nuclear weapons. It's always something, but they never say what it really is about. And again, it don't take that much to figure it out. Number 2, Venezuela. Now, Venezuela holds the largest proven oil reserves in the entire world. I'm going to say that again. Venezuela owns the largest oil reserves in the entire world, surpassing even Saudi Arabia. Now, the U.S. has not launched a full-scale military invasion on Venezuela, but it has waged a massive decade-long campaign of economic warfare and media hostilities against the government of Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro. The U.S. has levied crippling economic sanctions directly targeting PDVSA, Venezuela's state-owned oil company, freezing the country out of the global financial system. Now, you tell me if this is not an attack on them, not because of weapons of mass destruction, not because they're trying to say they have a nuclear bomb or anything like that, but it's all about this oil that these bullies are trying to confiscate. Number 3, Libya. Libya possesses the largest proven oil reserves on the African continent, especially, highly prized sweet crude, which is easier and cheaper to refine. In 2011, the U.S. and NATO launched a military intervention establishing a no-fly zone and conducting airstrikes that ultimately led to the overthrow and death of Muammar Gaddafi. The official reason for the intervention was a humanitarian mandate to protect civilians during the Arab Spring uprising. Wow, they were trying to protect civilians. However, leaked documents, cables, and subsequent geographical analysis revealed that Western powers were deeply concerned with Muammar Gaddafi's plan to nationalize more oil reserves, create a pan-African currency. That means a global African currency backed by Libyan gold, and shift oil contracts away from Western companies. Today, Libya remains fractured, but its oil fields remain a battlefield for foreign interests. Only got 2 more minutes, so I got 2 more to go. I'm gonna do one a minute. Here's the last 2. Syria. Now, Syria, while not a global oil giant like Iraq or Venezuela, Syria is a significant region oil and gas reserves, mostly concentrated in the eastern part of the country. The U.S. has maintained a military presence in Syria for years, conducting airstrikes and funding proxy groups. Israel also frequently conducts airstrikes within Syria's borders. The context has been stated that U.S. missions was to defeat ISIS and support ally Kurdish forces. However, U.S. troops have been strategically stationed directly over Syria's most lucrative oil fields in Deir Zahir region. I know I just butchered that name, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all look at this stuff. Y'all see the news. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Now, the last one, and we're going to have to get out of here. Iran. We back at Iran, right? And this is where we are now. Remember before it's like 2011, 2003, something like that. They kind of attacked them. But now, while we are watching the current conflict unfold, the blueprint for this was drawn in 1953. Iran's democratically elected Prime Minister Mohammad Jahi decided to nationalize Iran's oil industry, taking it back from the British. The Anglo-Iranian oil company, now called BP, you know, we got gas stations, BP gas stations. Guess where the oil comes from? Iran. In response to losing control of the oil, the US, CIA, and British intelligence orchestrated a coup, called it Operation Ajax, to overthrow Mossadegh and install the Shah, a monarch who was friendly to Western oil interests. This event is widely considered the root cause of the modern hostility between the US and Iran. So we can see clearly that their intentions is not about world peace. None of that crap. It's about being gangsters, taking over other people's interests in oil so they can have that dominating economic force in the world. Well, that's my time, y'all. I see my time is up. So I thank you all for listening. We'll be white black tomorrow. Again, this is the Daily Mix, and I'm your host, Omari Jahi. Until tomorrow, remember, continue to think for a change. Peace. Take care of your mind, take care of your health, and we'll be back in the mix tomorrow at 12 noon. Till then, peace out.